Welcome to the Ancient Cosmic Clock video series. This is going to be our first episode called For Signs and For Seasons. I'm Taylor Child.
I'm Brian Lang.
And what are we talking about today?
We're talking about Introduction to Biblical Ancient Star Knowledge.
Oh, okay. Ancient biblical star knowledge. So when I think about that, I think about, sometimes there's this tension between, Christianity has given astrology a bad name, or given the stars, like it almost has like a witchcraft type association, right? So how do you reconcile that tension? I know you're a Christian, I'm a Christian.
It's certainly a paradox. And what I mean by a paradox is there are clear biblical scriptures that are speaking of like soothsaying and those types of things being evil.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
But then there's also like the wise men found Jesus by using star knowledge. So what do we do with that? How do we unpack that? I think it is good to look at the Bible as far as concepts, and the Bible does push the narrative to like give reverence to and adoration and worship to the Most High, and to not follow man or anybody else. And if you're looking for insight and you go to somebody else for that insight and you're not connecting to your creator, I certainly see how that would hinder somebody in their own spiritual growth.
Yeah. If you're trusting, so I guess that becomes another question for the conundrum. Like, how do you identify trustworthy sources versus sources to be wary of or dubious of?
And that's a good thing, a good question. I think we'll find that that the Bible actually carries a lot of the stories of the stars, and I think we're going to unpack a lot of that in this video series.
Okay.
There are other things that are, you brought up the idea of witchcraft that people do with the stars, and one of those things is that witches will use star knowledge, and they will have timing for their spells in alignment with the stars, and that sounds pretty nefarious to me.
Well, we're not going to do any of that.
Of course not. But what's good, what we do have, the Bible does give some parameters on how the ancients, how the prophets would use star knowledge, and we can go through some of that.
Yeah, why don't we start?
Okay, let's go to the next slide. It says, in Genesis chapter 1, it says, "And God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and to let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years." I think we get the years, but seasons.
Yeah, so what's a sign? What's a season? Like, talk to me about that.
Well, let's look at what we can measure with what we're doing here. Like, we have winter, and we can say winter is coming, or we have spring is coming, or summer.
I hope winter's not coming. It's almost April.
That's true. We can look at that as a season. Okay. And it's not evil predicting that, hey, spring's going to be coming. It's not an evil thing to do. So the Bible, in my opinion, is giving us precedence for looking at more specifics in the universe, at the stars above, at looking at the seasons. So one thing to kind of point out is where the sun is actually located is actually in place of a zodiac sign. And there's some great symbolism in the Bible when it comes to the zodiac. For example, there's 12 that we count, but there's one that's been disinherited. Kind of is a throwback to there being 12 tribes of Israel, but there kind of was another son. There was two of Joseph's sons received an inheritance, which made 13, but one was taken out and disinherited, Levi, and they didn't get inherit land space.
Yeah, that's right, under the law of Moses. And just as another example of that, since you mentioned the 12 and Joseph having two sons getting an inheritance, if you look in the book of Revelation, this is just one of those Taylor's unanswered questions things. It mentions the 144,000, right? And it says 12,000 from each tribe, and it specifically goes through and names them. 12,000 from Ephraim and 12,000 from Manasseh, and it gives the inheritance for Levi. But you know who gets disinherited in the book of Revelation that we have? It's the tribe of Dan. I have no idea why. That's on the list of Taylor's unanswered questions.
That's certainly a curious one. Maybe somebody in the comments will have us an answer.
Yeah, let me know if you know the answer to this. That'd be great.
So in regards to the seasons, a lot of things happen day to day in our lives when where the sun's in a certain zodiac, and it gives it a little bit different vibe. Like, for example, the season of Aries, which would be the lamb or the ram. Like, that was the season where where the Jews would practice Passover, where they would be eating lamb, and in the alignment in the sky, it was the alignment with the sun. And
so when the sun is in the constellation of Aries, and that is coming up upon us pretty soon here.
And then in Christian circles, they are a lot of people are venomous towards Halloween, but Halloween is in the constellation Scorpio, and Scorpio is like a representation of death, rebirth, the underworld,
yeah, the dark and the forbidden,
the taboo.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we all, like, people practice Halloween like right in the sun's alignment of Scorpio. And even in other traditions, like most Christians practice Christmas, and with that, in the season leading up to that, you get until like 20th or so of December, where that season ends. It's in the constellation Sagittarius, and Sagittarius in its archetype is the excitable archetype, the excitable energy, the travel, the adventure, the journey,
like children looking forward to getting off of school, going out and playing in the snow. I mean, I know we both have 1 million children each.
Yeah, we do.
He has 2 million children.
That's true. All true.
But my kids love playing in the snow. Like, when we had the big storm a few weeks ago, they had a blast in it. And that archetype, it's almost like some of these, now that you're kind of getting the juices flowing a little bit, I'm thinking of the summertime ones, when you move into Leo season in mid to late summer. Most of us, like most of the Western world, uses that as an excuse to light things on fire or set off fireworks. Like, it's not really precise, but I think that's kind of the vibe you're going for, right?
Yeah. And Leo's the middle part of summer. And certainly, and even one more example is Capricorn. Like, when we've like ate all the Christmas candy and we're getting close to the New Year's, we're starting to set our New Year's resolutions, and Capricorn is the father archetype of the zodiac, and what it was, the way it was represented in the original language, in the earliest form of Hebrew, that constellation was represented by the thorn. And it's the idea of needing to get the thorn out of the way, having career, having a goals, doing things better. And it fits right in line with everybody setting their New Year's resolutions at the start of the year.
That's Capricorn. That'd be end of December into January.
Yeah. So, and then people say that they lose their New Year's resolutions, lose motivations, but Capricorn season ends. So you certainly have all these archetypes of the planets and where the sun is for the seasons, and we've been playing along with these energies, these archetypes all along,
almost just automatically, like without even really being aware of it.
So the first thing, the goal was here is to bring awareness to the signs and the seasons.